Now, as many of you guys know, I am a Boston Celtics fan, and this season it has been painful, to say the least. Once again, for the second time in the past 3 years, they are the most disappointing team in the NBA, and it really hurts. But today, we're going to be covering why they suck so much, and just overall, what they need to do to improve. But before we start, this video is not sponsored. Just subscribe to the channel, please. Helps a lot. Very small channel. And after this video, I probably will be going live on my Twitch, which will be down below. So go watch me, I guess, if you want to. I'll be playing any game you guys want me to, that I have, obviously. But anyway, let's get started on the video. Jason Tatum. Now, you used to be probably my favorite player in the NBA, but you have fallen off drastically this season. Now, Jason Tatum is still a great player, but it's just he shoots way more inefficiently today, and he still settles for way too many shots when he could be getting better ones. And he's still not a good rim finisher despite having some highlights down there. He needs to improve these things to become a great player. I feel like people were too ambitious having him top 10 in some preseason rankings. Now, Jason's the best player on the team. That's unarguable in my eyes. Though some shots he hits in clutch times and the way he scores the ball and plays decent defense is unmatched by the rest of the team. But he needs to get these things worked out if he wants us to be a real title contender. Although Jason Tatum has fallen off a little bit in my eyes in this season, he's definitely not the worst of the problems. Now, Kemba Walker, if you're listening to this, I really feel bad for you. Every fan of Boston, which they can be very harsh, I know that, is yelling at you and screaming at you and being very rude to you. I kind of feel bad for Kemba. But on the other end, his inconsistencies, your inconsistencies, since you're watching this in this hypothetical now, your inconsistencies, poor defense, isn't doing you any favors. I do believe all the off-court things, like that Kemba's a good friend and a good guy and a good leader, but he really needs to be more consistent. I'd take a cool, 15 points a game from him. And also, he is not a good playmaker, too. He really needs to get better at that part of basketball. I understand that playmaking isn't really something you can get better at, that you just have to have the feel for the game. But Kemba he's just got to pass the ball around more. He shoots it way too much. He's aging. He needs to get it to the young forwards that we have. And maybe some Robert Williams and Marcus Smart. Kemba's been bad this season, but he's not the biggest issue for us by far. The biggest issue is this. This has been a problem every year with the Celtics, and I feel like it has gotten a little better, but it's still pretty bad. Now, the Celtics just have an undeniable issue with the bench guys they put out every game. They can never score, never do anything really that great. None of them are really that great at defense. I mean, some of them are solid, but none of them are that great at defense. And they really put us in a hole, because we've never been a team that has been able to put out a full group of bench guys, and they can hold their own. They can hold their own against teams that are badly injured and don't have their best players, but not against actually good teams like we saw last night against the Sixers. Most of this video is coming from last night, because a lot of our blatant issues showed last night. But anyway, a big issue is that I know we didn't have Evan Fournier. At least I don't think we had Evan Fournier last night, our best bench guy by far. But it still looked really bad out there. And once Robert Williams came out, which more on him later, nobody could even remotely guard Embiid. And I'm not saying Robert Williams can, but still, there's nobody on the bench that could even, like, we were playing Taco freaking Fall. Some decent minutes against Embiid, because no one could stop him. Everyone would just foul him, and that's why he got so many free throws, although there were some bad calls mixed in. Overall, the bench guys are very underwhelming, and the main problem with the Boston Celtics. Although most of this season has felt grim for the Boston Celtics, we have had a few silver linings, which there always are in basketball. The first one is the most obvious one, Robert Williams. He has been, over the past 20 games, honestly, a great player. That's maybe shocking to some, but if you watch these games, you would realize that he's been putting up some great stats. He looks like the most athletic guy on the court out there sometimes. And despite his lack of size, which really makes him not great on defense against the best bigs in the league, like Joel Embiid last night, and the fact that he fouls way too much, which is something that he needs, like, a coach or something to help him fix that, he has been a great player and definitely an underrated, maybe even an underrated candidate for most improved player, how he's playing. Another one is Peyton Pritchard. Now, he hasn't been as good as he was to start the season lately, but still he's been a good bench guard who can provide some solid minutes as a backup for Kemba or Smart, which we haven't had that in quite some time, so that's very good. There's also Jaylen Brown, who's improved in many ways since last year. He's gotten better on defense and offense. I feel like he shot better shots and just shot more efficiently on offense, which is always a good thing. I want Jason Tatum and Kemba to learn from him. And I feel like he's passed the ball more, gotten better at playmaking, and better at defense too. Also, the last one is Marcus Smart. He's still the best defending guard, in my opinion, in the NBA. Maybe besides Ben Simmons, who's not really a guard. He's just a 7-foot player who calls himself a guard, but he still hustles and grinds. And even though he can shoot very inefficiently, he's still a great player that is still pretty underrated probably, but not as underrated as Robert Williams. And that's the video, guys. The Celtics have been really bad this season, but I wanted to go in depth to discuss why they've been so bad. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, comment down below what ideas you want me to do next. Unlike most YouTubers, I'm very small and look at every comment. And yeah, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on Twitch.